Thank you to our patrons for helping make this podcast possible.
Yo, what's good, Bill?
When the apocalypse happens, I'm killing all of you freaks. Freaky deakies.
I forgot about that.
Okay.
What's up?
Your mic's just like a little bit hot.
Ah!
I'm leaving that in.
Yeah.
No way!
40-50 deep, why don't you turn around and let's the back into the table. Okay. Let this turn around to your right. Better. Forward. I just made him. I just denied that deal if you pick up the pizza. I don't want to go into the spot if I can afford it. That's right. Let them get a view from there and I'll see what the field of view looks like.
Anyway,
Okay.
so Mitch just shouted a whole lot on me. Knowing him, he'll probably cut it all out, but he just screamed at me. But we have tended to some, technical difficulties behind the scenes. We're back. For you, nothing happened. We didn't even leave, so I didn't even need to make this apology. But
Yeah.
I'm doing it because this is a cry for help. What's up, Bill? What you saying?
I was just saying that, yeah, man, Mitch is very abusive, but we'll move on very quickly. So I was thinking, I had the grand idea in this thinker that I've got up here betwixt my skull cheeks that we could do an episode where we talk about our multiple Easter eggs. There's a strange amount of Kill Bill and Rav lore out there, and also a little bit of Mitch lore out there if you would like to explore it. Yeah, no, I thought that there's a bunch of shit that I would say like, hey, did you know that I did this? And you'd be like, no fucking way. This could be that.
Yeah.
Some of it's cool, some of it's random.
Lol, random.
Little bit random XD rar, if you know what I'm saying.
You mean it?
Oh, that's for I mean it real. It's deep down in there. Yeah.
Okay.
So would you like to start or would you like me to start?
Hit us with it for the one time. I feel like this is your design. This is your stage, your play.
Yeah, it's me. Yeah. Okay. I'll start it off. Okay. So I'll start off with some weird ones. Well, not really a weird one. These are weird. These are all weird. All of mine are kind of weird. Did you know that I produced a song for a WWE wrestler who raps and who is still an active WWE wrestler? It's a guy named MVP, and I did a song. Shout out MVP. Legendary dude. He's been around for a very long time in the industry. Very cool guy when I talked to him on the phone. But basically, we had a mutual friend, and I didn't know who he was. I mean, I knew who he was, but I didn't know him. And my mutual friend was like, hey, he rapped over your beat. And I was like, what the fuck? And I thought it was like on TV or something. It wasn't. It was just on his SoundCloud. He has a song called Tokyo. And I had a sound click at the time, which most of mine, by the way, are tied to this sound click, a very cursed, cool, blessed part, a blurst part of my life, if you will. It was where you could go and sell beats, or they could download and rap on them for free and just put them out for free. And that's what he did with this song called Tokyo. And I'm pretty sure it still exists. I mean, it's on YouTube and stuff like that. I don't know if I'm like credited or not. I don't really care. But the song is MVP, Tokyo. And so that's just a weird thing that I've produced a song for a WWE wrestler. So there you go. That's the thing. Yeah.
Damn.
Little wild.
I don't know. I don't know if I have any interesting things.
You have like some of the most interesting ones.
I don't know why they're escaping me now.
We had like a whole conversation earlier about
Oh, yeah. Okay. Let's see. In one of the royal palaces in Qatar hangs a framed picture that is a doodle of George Bush that I drew in history class while like just during class I would just doodle a lot on the side. And so one of those doodles hangs one of those royal halls, and
That's kind of neat. That's super sick, actually.
The minister of like, or like whoever the dude is in charge of like the cultural stuff in the museum, all that, was trying to get that off dude for like 30 or 40 grand. And he was like, no, it's not for sale. And when he told me that, when I found out, I was like, hey, maybe consider selling it and like cut me a small check if you don't mind. But yeah, that's just like a random funny thing, you know?
Yeah, yeah.
Exists.
What was the whole thing with George Bush though? You just said that it was George Bush. Wasn't there more to it than that?
Oh, it was like a George Bush head, and like out of his mouth, his tongue rolls out, but it's toilet paper.
Hell yeah.
I don't know. I was 16 or 17.
It feels like something that would be in like a political comic at the time.
It's like, it's the most entry level assessment of the situation.
Yeah.
For someone I was already into politics then, so I definitely had a lot of opinions on stuff, even though they were kind of green at the time, probably. But it's just a random, funny little fact. That's a fun little fact.
That is a random, funny little fact, but it's also super sick. The fact that it's in like a fucking, you said it was like in Qatar, like the palace or some shit. Like,
yes,
that's crazy.
Family.
That's insane.
It is weird. It is kind of lol random.
Yeah.
You got another one you want to share?
Yeah, I got another weird production credit. I have, two other weird ones. This one's less weird than the other one, but it's really random. If you're into this type of music, then you'd think it's random. So on my SoundClick page, I made a beat called Devil's Dance that it was a sample of Hellsing, the intro song from Hellsing, you know, the like, that shit. I just flipped that and I put it out, and it was when I was doing my like beat a day on SoundClick. So this is in like 2010, something like that. And this guy bought the beat, and then he got a feature on it. I don't know the guy's name anymore, but he got a feature on it from Chris Calico from Strange Music, which is super duper crazy, because especially at the time I was really, really into Chris Calico, and you know, it's very much not the type of music that I make now, you know, but it was like just cool. But the hook for the song, I'm sure it exists somewhere, but it's Chris Calico and then some other dude, and then the hook is, the song is called That's What She Said, and then the hook is like, are you in, da 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 da, you out, da 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 da. That's what she said. That's what she said. That's what she said. It sounds like straight up like a Chris Calico and Tech Nine song. You know what I mean? And that shit was like really cool. But the thing is, I didn't know that was a thing until like 2 or 3 years after I sold the beat to the guy. Like he never told me. Yeah. I just found out later in life. And like I've been to a Tech Nine show and with Chris Calico there, you know, and that would have been after I produced the song that he was on.
That's funny.
So I met him afterwards, and he had no idea, and I had no idea that we had like technically worked together. You know what I mean?
That's funny.
So
small world.
So yeah, that's some small world shit. Do you have any other crazy silly Easter egg moments?
I mean, this one I think we've referenced in the past at some point or another. Doja Cat and I used to talk on Skype at one point.
That's pretty crazy.
Yeah, and there's actually a song that I recorded that lies in the deep realms of the B-sides underbelly of my catalog that came from a lot of the conversations that her and I would have. Mm-hmm. And was kind of written about her / to her, kind of. at
Yeah.
the time. It's so funny just looking back. She became so big. She's someone who's massive.
Yeah, it's
So it sounds like
crazy.
a made up thing, when you say it, but it wasn't that crazy then.
No, I wasn't at the time because like I remember I didn't know. I knew she made music, and one time like we had like a same mutual friend that you got to know her through. Like, and one time she like added me on Skype and then just called me, and like I didn't really know her like that. We had like talked via text like once or twice. You know what I mean? And we talked for like an hour or something. I don't remember about what, just music. You know what I mean? And then like,
And the context
we just
is
never talked again.
the context. The guy who is one of the people who allegedly helped teach her how to rap is a friend of ours, whom Bill and I helped teach how to rap along the way with a lot of stuff. So that's where the connection initially comes from. But again,
Yeah.
small world shit.
Yeah, for sure. And at the time, she was like, she would go on to be kind of popping at that point. Cause like I remember seeing her on like the Hot Box with Dumbfounded, which was like a great era. And I remember being like, yo, like she's barring it out. Like she can really spit. Like I was like in her corner. Like I was like, hell yeah. And like I think it was like around the time or like a little bit after y'all were talking was like that, and like then she just like after that I'm a cow shit, that shit blew the fuck up. It was so cool to see that she's like a pop icon now, So
Yeah.
shout out Doja Cat.
Yeah, so that's probably an interesting, fun little piece of random lore. Very random.
Absolutely. I have another weird one. This one's like super random. So when I was selling beats on SoundClick, I got hit up by a guy. I'm not going to say his name, but I do remember this guy's name. And he was super cool. And he hit me up and was like, hey, I'm working on this song. I did it over one of your beats. Can I license the beat? And I was like, yeah, 100%. And I sold it to him. I sold it to him like super cheap too. And then he was just like, yeah, man, I'm really glad that we could get this squared away because I got somebody coming in on verse 2. And I was just like, oh shit, who is it? And then he was just like, have you ever heard of a dude named Rich Hill? And I was like, no, I haven't. And I checked his music out and it was like, okay, you know what I mean? Like I was like, cool, it wasn't like necessarily, I wasn't the target audience, And he was like, yeah, that's Tommy Hilfiger's son.
That's funny.
And so
That's so random.
So like my production credits are a WWE wrestler, a successful WWE wrestler, Chris Calico, and Tommy Hilfiger's son.
That's crazy.
And then the other big one that I had at the time, which isn't as weird now, but at the time was kind of crazy for me, was Mega Ran, who like we've worked with Ran, but at the time I was like, holy shit. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
Right.
So those are my big four at the time where very different places on the internet and culture and music, so those
That's
are
so cool though. My only production credits are like U Square, Heems.
Teams. Yeah. That counts.
That counts. That's kind of it, I think. So I find that so cool. You got some really cool stories.
I mean, I think Heems is a really good one. Like that's a really cool production credit to have.
That's true.
Outside of your friend group, you know what I mean? Like that's a super sick one.
For sure.
I can't think. I'm sure that I have another one somewhere that's cool, but I don't know what it is.
Let's see.
But
Another random piece of lore. Oh, I lived in a hospital at one point for a few months in Russia, on the outskirts of Moscow, in like a brutalist old building that had like this haunting energy to it. It was kind of cool, but I was staying there over like the winter period, Christmas, New Year, etc. And everybody on my floor and the other floor, I don't remember if it was the one above or the one underneath exactly, but it was just full of kids with diabetes, like kids and teenagers with diabetes. I was a young teen, or just about to be a teen or something like that, but yeah, I stayed there, and I was the only one who didn't have diabetes. And there was a lot of interesting adventures and stories, and I learned a lot about people in there. I've told you about this, where there was a kid that one of the kids in our room, he was really excited for his birthday coming up, the Game Boy Advance had just come out, but his mom couldn't afford it, so she got him the Game Boy, but he was still so happy and stoked. And something he was really stoked for is getting the opportunity to eat some nuts on his birthday, which sounds funny as hell, right? Like, it's such a small thing, but that's something he was really looking forward to. But when he got his blood checked in the morning with that little like thing and that makes the measurement, it turned out that he couldn't. His sugar levels would not allow for that, right?
Yeah.
And he cried, in his mother's arms.
That's super sad, dude.
And it was super sad. And seeing that was an interesting bit of perspective for a young me, and seeing a lot of things like that really early on was very insightful. And just like sneaking out at night and going to the goth girls' room, the goth teenagers, they would always just welcome me with open arms and put me on to different stuff and have like all sorts of like magazines back then. And it'd be like, oh, it says here the tattoo are like aren't actually lesbian, the tattoo girls. It says here that Eminem and Marilyn Manson are like these kind of articles, Anyway, I have very interesting stories. I definitely had, looking back on it, I think the doctor might have handled my genitals way more often than he needed to.
I mean, that's a pretty heavy.
That's a heavy accusation to toss someone's way, but I just don't feel like he ascertained much. And then,
I mean, I think that I don't know like the whole situation of you being in the hospital, but like I would be a little bit like how much ball play do you need?
Yeah, that was my question.
Like, I think that,
yeah, how much ball play is too much ball play is the age old question. But outside of that, also the nurse who used to take my blood every week was so fucking rough. She would always like stick the vein and go right through it, and then like the blood would barely come out, so it was really slow and it was painful. And she was squeezing harder and harder, and like complaining, and it's like and she would just like redo it and just go right through it again.
yeah.
That shit sucked. I remember that. Also, the breakfast food was fucking disgusting at the canteen. This was gnarly. Actually, most of the food at the hospital was fucking gnarly as hell. Anyway, sorry, I went on a little rant there, but that's a little bit piece of random Rav lore.
I mean, I feel like that's a super duper. I mean, I know that we've kind of talked about this online in some kind of capacity. At some point, we might even brought this up on the old podcast, but like that is just talking about like our childhoods, the difference between like what you were doing when you were like 12 versus what I was doing when I was like 12. Like we were probably doing the same things, enjoying the same things, etc. But like you're like, yeah, man, I was in this crazy Russian hospital and there's like kids with diabetes and goth girls and all this other stuff. And I'm like, yeah, dude, I kind of hung out in my room a lot. You know what I mean? Like, I will say though, that actually made me think. So all the lore stuff I've been doing so far has been music related, I feel like. However, there's a thing, I've talked about this on stream at some point, but I think that maybe if we're borderline trauma dumping our strange experiences, perhaps I should talk about the time that,
I'm sorry, by the way, if that was a little too much.
No. I think that's super interesting Rav lore. I think that's, if you want to take that other thing out, if you want to, that's fine. But I think like, you know what I mean? I think it's all interesting.
Okay, word, yeah. I'm comfortable with all of it personally, but I don't want to overwhelm anyone.
No, for sure. So I'm going to tell you guys a crazy story that I talked about this on stream before. So I was a church-going boy in high school. I went to church not necessarily just because I was super jazzed about being a Christian, but more of the social aspect of it, of being in the South, and like all my friends went to church. And so there was like a youth group, right? So I'm not going to say anybody's names, not to implicate anyone, because this is a pretty crazy story. But I had two close friends that I would go every week to every Sunday or whatever to youth group at night. And we would always just kind of like go in there. They had like games and pool and stuff like that, you know? And so it was like, you would just go have a good time and then have like 20 to 30 minutes of Jesus talk. And then everybody would just talk and have a good time. Right. Just for reference, like I met my first girlfriend there, like that type shit. You know what I mean? So we got a new youth minister, and the one before was super cool. It was this girl named Mary, and she was maybe in her like early 20s, like 23, 24. And she was super cool and very, very nice. Right. So she dips out of there and we get a new one. And I'm not going to say her name, but she was a little too cool. Okay. We would go to church. Not church, youth group. Youth group is different from church. For people who don't know, youth group was like very social, very like, and we noticed that at first when we're getting to know her and stuff, she's not younger. She's like maybe 35, 36 years old at the time. I don't know. She had a kid, you know, she might've been a little bit older, maybe in her 40s, you know? So we noticed that as we would go, like the time where we were doing Jesus stuff was shrinking every week. And it was more just kind of hanging out to the point where it was literally like 5 minutes of a Bible lesson. And then the rest of the time was, well, I'd rather you be here having fun than like not here having fun. You know, it was just an excuse to everybody get there and have fun. And it's a good, clean environment. Right. And one of the things that I thought was a little bit red flaggy in retrospect was I accidentally said shit out loud. And I thought I was going to get in a lot of trouble for it. But I did not. The lady said, "Oh no, it's fine. You can curse." And I thought that was a little bit odd at a Christian thing. But she was just like, "Well, it's just words," which I agree with. You know, I feel like there is like a bit of a time and a place to stuff, you know? So we're just like in youth group, hanging out, a bunch of high schoolers just going like, fuck this, fuck that, fuck, like, okay, just being like unruly with our language a bit, you know? And you know how when kids first start cursing, they just curse like crazy when it's a new thing to them? I don't know if you've ever experienced that. That was me. And so I'm doing this, right? So there's like drama going on because everyone's dating everybody, and it felt like being on a reality show, just going to church. It's getting weird at this point, okay? And the youth lady, I'm just gonna call her Nancy. That's not her name, but I'm gonna call her Nancy, okay? So Nancy, she would like get involved in the drama with the high school kids, basically. Like she would like insert herself or like give advice and get mad at kids who like didn't take her advice, like stuff like that. It was weird, kind of culty looking back. Okay. So there was a big church function. I'm not going to say the name of it, but it was a church camp that everybody would look forward to going to every year. Right. And the reason why it was fun is because they had live music, they had all this other stuff. It was basically just an excuse to go on vacation, right? And it was just a camp. You know, there was an arcade there. There was a whole bunch of other stuff. It was a good time, and it lasted, I think, 3 or 4 days. And so we go, and I knew this girl there, and she was like, "Hey, you guys should come to our room." Now, like for context, like the older kids didn't need a chaperone to stay in the room with them, but it was like all dudes would be in one room, all girls would be in the other room. But then like the chaperone sometimes would be with the older kids. And so like the chaperone was Nancy, and then the girl that I knew, and then her friend. And then so she's like, "Hey, you guys should come over and hang out in our room." And I'm like, "Well, what if we get in trouble?" She's like, "Well, no, don't worry. Nancy's here. It's cool." And I'm like, "Bet. Let's go over there." So we like leave our room and go over there, and we're just hanging out, right? It's nothing weird. We're all just hanging out. So then Nancy pulls out a bottle of Jack Daniels. Okay. And we're all like 16, you know? And she's just like, oh, I just need a little bit for my back. My back is hurting. Okay. And so she's just doing shots of Jack Daniels. And then my friend who's with me takes the bottle from her, like jokingly, and is like, I'm going to drink it. You know what I mean? Like just fucking around. And then she's just like, instead of being like, no, she's like, you can't tell anyone. And I thought, that's odd. That's an odd thing to say to a child. Even then I was like, oh, this is crazy. There was a bed and it was like, there was mad beds in the room. I just go chill in the back bed and I was just like, hey, I'm going to take a nap. I didn't see nothing. I wasn't here. I'm out. Okay. So I roll over and I act like I'm falling asleep because I just don't want to be involved. Okay. So then all my friends are there and they're just like doing shots with this like 40-year-old woman. Okay. And then the girl that I was friends with, who was there, who invited us there, was like, hey, can I get a shot? And then she was just like, no, you'll tell. Which was a mistake, by the way. Okay. So flash forward. Nothing really happens beyond that. Right. We go back to our separate beds and go to our separate rooms and go to sleep. Right. I was just gonna act like nothing happened. So then we get back and we're at youth group and like we get there early. Me and my friends, we're always there early. Nancy grabs us like this and like yanks us into this room. And we're like, what the fuck's going on? She was like, hey, somebody told. Who told? What's going on? And I'm like, what did I tell? What is there to tell? Like that question mark. You can let me go. I wasn't there. That's like literally how I was about it. I was just like, bro, I don't want to be involved. That's y'all shit. I said it. Like I told y'all then. I want to, sorry if this story is long, by the way.
No, this is great. I'm captivated.
So she's just like, hey, listen, I need y'all's, if this goes to court, I need y'all to lie for me. And then I would say, I'll lie for you. I wasn't there. I'm not going to court because I wasn't there, And so then she's just like, the other two dudes that are with, they think that, and she's like, you're going to get in a lot of trouble with me, if you don't lie for me. Okay. So what happened was the girl that she said, hey, you're going to tell if you drink this, fucking told on her. Rightfully so. I don't think she would have. I don't know. I don't think it would have gotten out somehow. You know what I mean? But basically, my mom asked me, she was like, hey, I've heard some like stuff's going around. Do you know anything that happened? And I lied to my mom at the time. I was like, listen, I don't know. I wasn't there. I wouldn't be surprised, but it's not, And then my mom came back to me like a week later and was just like, hey, like, I know you were there. And I was like, yeah, I didn't drink. I didn't want to get involved. I just felt like it wasn't sorry, I lied to you type beat, And my mom was very understanding about me lying about it, but she was just like, she was like, why did you lie? I was like, I thought I was going to get in trouble just by being there, by association, that there was some shit going down, basically. And yeah, it was a free position. So she wasn't fired, but she was like removed. It never went to court or anything. But then the pastor called me in with a bunch of people, asked us separately, like our stories. I just said what happened. And, everyone else just told the truth, I think. And then, we're all just like sitting there. They sat us down afterwards and just said like, hey, we'll let you guys know that you're not in trouble. We understand like a person who was an adult said it was okay and all this other stuff, which now in retrospect, it's crazy to think that was where our heads went, was that we were
Child
in
logic.
trouble. Yeah. Because I mean, especially dude, I'm from a super small town and anytime anything happened, it was everywhere. Like I didn't want to be the guy who got in trouble for this. And then all of a sudden that reflects poorly on my family and all this other shit. Dumb small town shit was very real, you know? And fast forward, years later, I go to Walmart with my friend who was also there and who was also drank, you know? So we're walking around and we go into like the video games. And then we see Nancy working in the photo department. And I was like, I'm not going to say nothing. But then my friend was like, my friend is a very forgive and forget guy, you know? And so he walks over to her. We're like, we had to be like 22, something like that. And he walks over to her and just says, hey, how you doing? To her. And I'm like, she could tell I'm there, but I'm kind of like, I'm not getting involved. I don't want to talk to her, you know? And my friend is just like, hey, how you doing? Just like that. Super duper, just no malice. She turned around and just said, fuck off, asshole. And then just turned back around.
I love that.
And I'm just like, bro, you're the fucking creep, bro. You're the fucking weirdo. Because she was reliving her high school years or whatever. That's what it felt like to me personally, that she was trying to like be a high schooler.
It's fucked up.
Dude, she was super inappropriate with us, bro. Like not just that. Like, I mean, I'm not saying like she ever did anything like actually like overtly sexual, but like the fact that she would like talk about like relationship stuff with high schoolers who were like they would talk to her about like sexual things. You know what I mean? It's like super, like I'm trying to get the logic of like where this is going. And it all just points to like her just being a fucking weirdo.
100%. 100%.
Yeah. You know, so that's a weird lore story for you.
That's awesome. That was great. That was so captivating. I don't have anything like that I can tell in stories. I just have like fragmented things. Like I've been in a massive bathtub filled with expensive champagne before, but that's not really a story.
That's a story. What the fuck? That's totally a story. I need context.
It's just a night. It's just not to sound. It is, you know, it depends like where you are and what's going on. It's just it's a thing that like, oh, that's a thing that I'm in, but it's not interesting. I don't know why. I don't know how to describe it. It's just
I think that's interesting just from the standpoint of like I will never see that. That's not a thing.
Yeah, but it's hard to have like an interesting, like a beginning, middle, and end to something like that. You know what I'm saying?
Dude, the beginning is you walked into the room. The middle is holy shit. There's a giant bathtub full of champagne, and the ending is you left. That's all you need.
Yeah. You're right. That's facts. Let's see, what other stories do I have, or pieces, little fragments of lore. Because what you just told, that was captivating.
Yeah, but that's awesome. That's one of the few crazy long stories I have. I feel like it's a little insane. The whole situation is insane. It's hard to top that level of like what the fuck, you know. But that's all I got really, you know, in terms of like, you know.
Yeah.
I mean, you could tell the bizarre story if you like.
No, fuck that.
It's good though. It's so funny. It's so funny.
Fuck that. Maybe another day. I feel like
okay. We'll tell the bizarre story another day.
Let's see. Give me a second, because I have a lot. It's just a lot of the times the little formative memories are in and of itself are just like little fragments of my life that mean something to me. So, for instance, first time we were in, was it Columbus, Ohio, where you and I were sharing a room in the hotel, and I was gonna go gamble.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that, dude.
Yeah, that was a crazy night for me. I took shrooms Was gonna go gamble with a couple people. Upon arriving at the casino, I realized I forgot my ID back at the hotel. So I gotta walk back to the hotel. My phone battery's dead. The shrooms have kicked in. And we are in the most downtrodden area in the city, you know? Like where I have to navigate from the casino to the hotel. And I was in a strange place in my life, and just kind of seeing how abandoned those people were, something that really stuck with me. And also it's the day when I realized that me and my partner at the time were going to go separate ways. You know, this is why when I got back to the hotel room, I don't know if you remember this, I just went under the bed sheets and I cried because the shrooms basically allowed me to arrive at certain realizations that I'd been avoiding, I think.
Yeah, I thought you were sick. That was it. Like, I thought that because we were all kind of coming down with a little bit of just like general tour sickness. And I thought that when you weren't answering me and shit, I was just like, oh, he's just like out. He's sick and out of it.
No, I was hoping that that's what it would come across as. But that, just like trying to find your way to a hotel in like the most, like an abandoned part of the city, essentially, full of people and on shrooms, whilst in a strange headspace yourself. Like, that's a formative memory, but it doesn't it's not a very interesting story. It doesn't make for an interesting story. You see what I'm saying?
No, I think that's an interesting story. I think that mine was just a very long form story that needed a lot of context, whereas like that's interesting to me. Excuse me.
Yeah.
I remember speaking of tour stuff, I remember when we were in Miami. This is just a dumb story, really. When we were in Miami, I got lost. I got like for whatever reason, the GPS was having a really hard time of getting me back to the tour bus. And so I'm just walking around and I'm looking at my phone a lot, you know, just trying to find it. And I walk this way and it'd be like, oh shit, it'd be like, turn around. I'd be like, fuck, I'd turn around. I'd be like, turn around again, like that type shit. And so I'm kind of bumfuzzled, if you will. And I am looking at my phone and I walked like straight into a fire hydrant with my knee hit this fire hydrant. And I still have a little scar on the side of my knee because it cut me really fucking bad. And it hurt so bad, dude. And I'm walking back. I don't know if you were there for this, but I'm walking back and everybody that I would see on the street would like look down at my leg like you know what I mean? Every time they walk by, they'd just be like, you know, and it looked worse than it was. It was a little cut, but it was bleeding a lot. Like it was like all the way down to my shin. And I didn't have anything to like wipe it off or wash it off, you know? And so I'm just walking back, and then I was walking back and I think I saw like, it might have been No One or Square or somebody. I was like, what's up, man? And they looked out, they were like, the fuck happened to you, dude? And I just bandaged up, but that shit was just real random. That type of shit happens to me a lot though. I feel like I injure myself in a way that looks worse than it is and have to explain it to people. That's just how my life works, you know?
Yeah. Man.
Yeah. Good times.
Good times indeed. Oh, remember, what was it? Was it in Houston? The Prince of Houston?
Oh, dude, the king.
King of
I've made him the king.
Yeah.
I've dubbed him the king of Houston now. He's graduated.
A lot of my experiences with running into homeless people and getting the stories or getting a little like snapshot of their spirit, you know, is always like some that sticks with me. Or I have a lot of interesting stories on that front, you know, a lot of interesting people. Also, like I've hitched rides all over the world in different countries, you know. You get to meet interesting folk that way too. I know it's probably not advised, right? I'm not saying I advise it necessarily, But honestly, you should hitchhike every opportunity you get. Even on your way home today, leave your car at work, hitch your way home.
Yeah. I mean, I have a car, but instead I'll just leave it. And how I get people is instead of doing this number, I just show a little leg.
Yeah, a little ball.
Yeah, if you dangle a little ball.
Yeah.
Down the shorts, they're always just like one of those nice truckers will stop for you, you know?
Yeah, I get that. Let's see. That's your story. That's your history. That is your journey. Or was that me? Which one of us just shared?
I don't know. I just told the story about that. Then you were like, "Yeah, dude, I hit." Oh, we were talking about the Prince of Houston.
Prince of Houston. Yeah, he was cool. He had a cool blade.
Yeah. Okay. I'll give context to the Prince of Houston. I'm sure someone in chat. Wow. Someone below us in the comments will bring up the Prince of Houston. But basically, I walked up late to this, as I'm typically a straggler in life. You know, I walked out. I was like one of the last people to leave the venue, and I look out and I see there's a group of fans outside of the bus, and amidst the group of fans, I see some of us, you know, chilling, smoking. I think you were there, you know.
I was in the center of it. I was engaging him. I was asking him questions.
And then there was a gentleman who referred to himself as the Prince of Houston, who was like super duper. He would like freestyle and shit. And he also had a knife, a blade that he was brandishing quite often. And I didn't really know what was happening. And I remember him being like, "Hey, man, let me get a picture with you." And he's holding a knife in his hand.
Yeah, I thought that shit was so funny.
And so, like, in the picture, I'm like so obviously like, "Get me the fuck out of here." Because I don't know any. I literally walk up, see a guy with a knife, and it's just like, "Hey, you, picture." And I'm like,
"Oh. Yeah, I think I wanted your attention because I wanted you to see this guy. And then in the end, correct me if I'm wrong, didn't he ask you to help put his shiv away? He's like, "Here," he gave it to you and like basically told you to slide it into his.
Yeah, he did. Yeah.
That's crazy. What a move.
No, for sure. I will say that is like an immediate way to be like, "I'm not going to stab you with this." You know what I mean? There is like, that's a good, like, you know, however,
I just thought it was entertaining. I thought that was
no. I mean, it was, but like to me, I was like worried because we took the picture and he's literally holding the knife.
Yeah.
Like, and I don't know this man. He's just like, "Picture." And I'm like, "Okay." And then he brings me in, we take the picture, and then he was like, "Hold my knife." I think that there was a part of it to me that felt like he was just like, "Oh, you're uncomfortable that I'm holding a knife near you. You hold the knife and
I've been
away."
in tons of situations like that.
Yeah.
Not specifically that, but
I try to avoid strangers with blades typically. But
I don't avoid things always, you know. Sometimes I embrace things as they come along. Also, there's only so much you can avoid.
Yeah. I mean, there wasn't really, he was standing between where I needed to be and where I was standing. So there was kind of no real avoiding him.
Yeah. It's like the Mr. Ballhead situation, you know?
Yeah.
It's like,
that was also an unavoidable beast.
Fate.
What's up with Texas, man?
They're turned up.
We got the dude fighting the people in Dallas in my crowd. We got the prince. So that's the evil. Then the prince of Texas, that is lawful good. And then right in the middle, we have you got a bald head, which is chaotic neutral. That's how I mean,
there's also the lady from, was she from Houston or Dallas? I think that was the Dallas one. You know, she was talking about like being cute, homeless lady. Cute?
Oh yeah, I remember her. She was super sweet.
Yeah, no, it's like some people got it, some people don't. She was
chaotic good,
and she was like that part. Her and I really connected.
Yeah, no, I fucked with her. She was super sick.
Yeah.
For some reason, I was thinking that was in Florida.
It might have been. The
home of Flo Rida.
It might have been. I think both her and the Prince of Houston were actually from Chicago originally.
Everyone is from Chicago.
And they moved at some point. That I usually like to get context into like what's your
Like, what
journey
brought
been
you
so
here?
far?
Yeah. Yeah, that's interesting. It's interesting too because it feels like talking with homeless people. It's like they always have a story, dude. Like it's never just like, yeah, I've lived here always. It's always like a super crazy journey that led you to this point. You know, it's interesting. Good lore. Good Lord is what I'd say if I was still a Christian boy.
And
I wasn't afraid of the light.
And also,
I wasn't craving a Reese's peanut butter cup.
and therefore,
I am
also
big boner.
Patreon.
Whoa, dude. Yo, hear me out on this. You should describe the Patreon this time because I know I'm really good at it, but I think that because like I told a crazy story, a really long story earlier, that maybe you should do the same thing but for our Patreon.
I will only if you guess what shirt I'm wearing.
Guess what shirt you're wearing?
Yeah. What band shirt I'm wearing. Or group or artist or whatever.
Is it that Japanese band?
You have 2 more guesses. That could be it, but I'm giving you 3 basically to pick.
Can I see the arms a little bit more? Okay. I was just making sure because at first I thought it was that is Machine Girl.
Oh, it's okay, you tried.
Oh, dude, I couldn't see. I don't know why I thought it was Machine Girl. It's Backwash. Oh, we love Backwash in this household.
We do.
That's a fucking dude. I want that shirt.
I bet you do.
I do. It's a very bill-coded shirt.
I came in very bill coded today. I was even gonna wear a cap, but I
You don't want to bite my style.
changed second. No, I wanted to come in as Bill. You know, one of these episodes, I should come dressed as like my rendition of you, and you should come in dressed up as your rendition of me.
Dude, if I dress like you, though, the difference is because you look the way that you look and I look the way that I look. When you dress like AmeriCorps, it's like cool. But when I do it, I look like I work at a Bass Pro Shops.
But I have my own interpretation and take on, you know, the Bass Pro Shop.
For sure. I think
AmeriCorps aesthetic.
I would love. You got to style me sometime. That's what I want.
I would be happy to, but I
like
want to
you'd be
see
good
your
at it.
rendition of it. That's why I said like
I
it has
just
to be
come
your
dressed
rendition.
like the worst possible. Yeah, no. So I didn't get it right, but I still think you should do the Patreon.
Okay, so Patreon. You heard of it. What's that about? You've heard of the site. What is that thing all about? Why do the kids talk about it so much? It's a way. It's a way for you to give us money to support this channel, to support the shit we're doing. We're giving you hours of free content every month. But for $5, you could get twice the amount of content you're getting because we always do an extra episode every week, one that goes exclusively behind the paywall up on Patreon. And if you choose to become a tier 2 subscriber by paying $20, well, by gum, you get even more things like have your name pull up at the start of the episode in the name card, right? That's kind of neat. You also get to participate in the advice corner segment of the behind the paywall episodes, where you get to talk to us You can ask your questions in written form. You can record your questions ahead of time. Or you can ask them live as we do the recordings. And who knows, maybe a part of your voice could end up being clipped for the end portion of the YouTube episodes and the regular episodes at the end. Maybe you're like, we'll get a little clip where you're going like, Rav, I just wanted some advice. How do you stay so goated? You know, things like that. And you're like, that's me. That's my voice. Oh my God, I ended up on this episode. That $20 was worth it. For example, right? We also post other stuff, but that at least you get as a base guarantee. So what the hell are you doing right now? Go out there and subscribe to our Patreon. Support us. It goes a long way. It keeps this show happening. If this show stops happening, your fault. No pressure, your fault. No pressure. And on that note, oh my God. Let's see. On that note, am I ending too soon? I'm realizing.
I don't know.
I might be.
It's a little early. We're at 58 minutes right now.
Oh fuck that!
Wait,
yeah.
don't worry. We can do a little thing.
Okay, do a little thing. Let's do a little thing.
Hey, buddy, gather round. Yeah. Woo! You ever think about how the lead singer of Metallica, James Hetfield, would just be like, yeah. You ever think about that?
It.
Yeah, he was. So
sometimes you got to let it out. It's kind of like how in martial arts, they're like, yeah, right? Sometimes just like pushing it out, right? It's a similar thing, but in music. Yeah.
My question to you is like, because like I get the idea of like punch him, like there's that added energy there, right?
Yeah.
Like in video games where they'll do like a move and then they say the name of the move. Especially if it's in English. If it's in Japanese, it sounds cool. But like if someone's just like deflector claw.
Yes.
Like what would your move be that you say out loud?
What would my move be? What would yours be?
Oh, give me a second. Nipple twist. Nipple twist.
Nipple twist. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a solid one. This is a salad one. we're so goofy around here. I fucked up because I was supposed to say solid, but I said salad. Mitch, you're gonna cut that, right?
No, you can't. He can't because this time we're taping on film.
Damn, we can't edit film. We don't have the scissors.
We don't have the scissors and the glue.
They use scissors to do that shit, dude.
And staplers.
That's crazy. Anyway, what is your move?
I want a red room. Do you feel me?
What is your move, though?
My move is getting a red room for developing photos.
Yeah. Like as soon as you're fighting, you're like getting a red room to develop photos. You just leave. Is that your strategy?
Okay, let's see. What would I say?
Invest in land development. That type shit.
Atomic pulverization. Something like that.
Yeah, I love doing that in the middle of a UFC fight.
Oh my God.
That type shit. Yeah,
something like that. How does that work?
Yeah, dude, that's good, man. That's good.
Pelvis pulverizer. What do you think?
Yeah, that's really good. That's really good, man. That's really good. You're an okay individual. I don't care what the mass media says about you, brother.
Yeah.
I don't care what the liberal media would lead me to believe.
Thank you. Thank you.
So,
Thank you.
oh shit, man. Wow. Wowee.
This is a good way of filling the episode, dude.
Yeah, man.
You're a natural. This is great.
Somebody's got to do it, man. I don't see
doing
you
it.
fucking doing anything crazy,
I'm doing
you
nothing.
know? Yeah,
No.
dude. You're such a you're a tip that's typical.
Oh,
man.
hold on. I can help.
Okay.
I can do something kind of cool. Close your eyes. And then just close your eyes and just imagine. Oh, you're sitting eyes closed in the room. Here I come. Get close to you. Okay, 3, 2, 1.
I need to talk to HR immediately.
Okay, well, I think thank you so much for tuning in. Voided Fam, Kill Bill the rapper, Rav, Mitch, we're signing out. Peace.
The following is a preview of this week's Patreon exclusive episode. Available now over on the Void FM podcast Patreon.
It's your boys back in it. Put that fucking bag in it.
How do you guys let seemingly unrelated skills influence your music, or vice versa?
My question today is about starting a podcast. I've always wanted to do that since I was in high school. You guys have had some experience.
I don't remember what the question was anymore, but I hope this advice applies.
Yeah.